What's up? Welcome in, everyone, live on a Friday. A to Z Sports going to have a good show today, talking about what the Titans' primetime schedule really means and how the NFL views the Titans franchise as a whole. Because Zach and I have been kind of off and on over the last week plus because of a couple different trips we've been on. So we have not talked about the Titans' schedule one bit, Zach. So I find that interesting that we'll talk about what we uh, learned from the schedule, what we think the primetime matchups say about the Tennessee Titans. So we'll compare the Titans to a group of four NFL teams and figure out where the Titans rank among those four teams that all have four primetime games this upcoming season. It's the most primetime games the Titans have had in a schedule release since the 2009 season, which I think is interesting because there's something that the 2009 season and the 2022 season have in common that we'll talk about as well as we get deeper. Then we'll get into a bigger overall NFL conversation about primetime matchups and the dream matchup for Roger Goodell before we wrap up the week with Ain't That Good News. I like taking a vacation Monday through Wednesday because it makes the end of the week a little bit easier to get to another weekend. But Zach, welcome in. Hope your Thursday is off to a good start. Let's get this thing rolling.
Well, and you feel kind of like I felt last week. I felt like this is a very long week. Last week, I was very short week, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
In the midst of spring, we know that, once training camp comes around, we turn it on. I mean, we're always on. Money never sleeps. But, we turn it on and the grind officially begins. But we've got some good topics, and I think have had some good topics over the last several weeks because of the movement of the Titans roster, what John Robinson and Mike Vrabel were able to do, the A.J. Brown scenario, the Ryan Tannehill, Celsius ad drop on a fishing boat. There's so many different things. And the primetime schedule is very, I think, intriguing because you look at the teams, and if you look from a bird's eye view of it, we will. I think you can find some subtle nuances of what the NFL thinks about certain teams. So we'll dive into that. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch broadcasting, and we will be tweeting out the YouTube link on our Twitter feed at A to Z Sports. You can give us a follow there. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, go ahead and like this video, like the video. And if you've already subscribed, nice little golf clap. Nice little golf clap to you. Like the video and tell your friends. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and push that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. It is growing, and we love that. We got more great content going out, especially because of mini camps. We'll have practice highlights. We've already thrown a couple of those out of Malik Willis and Traylon Burks. So check our YouTube channel out. Facebook, the real OGs, the day oneers, as we say. We appreciate you going 70,000 strong. Bottom left corner of your screen, sharing out of public. Sharing is caring, and caring is sharing, as we say on this show. More people are going to be piling in over the next 5 to 10 minutes. And as you guys do, please share the show around on a Friday in honor of Pitbull, just like every day. Let's get this party started.
All right, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us all over social media. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter and Twitch. Find the links to the show on our Twitter feed and also on our Instagram story. Hit us up on TikTok as well while you're at it. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out you guys. With Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process at wilsoncountyhyundai.com or go see them in Lebanon. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Plus, Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That's better coverage, better rates, better service. Learn more about a health coverage plan for you at fbhp.com/ATOZ. So, Zach, we did not do the show last Thursday or Friday as we did our schedule predictions and reactions to what happened. And so, Zach, you missed out on my three predictions for the Titans schedule. I predicted 4 primetime games on Monday when we talked about that. because the Bills game came out Monday. I said I think they get 4. They got 4. I also said I think the Titans have an early bye week. They do have an early bye week in week 6. And the one that I missed on was I thought the Titans would open up at home against the Bengals, but now they're opening up at home against the Giants. So I kind of a half point there for opening up at home, but still 2 of 3 of my predictions correct. And you did not think the Titans would have 4 primetime games. So what was your reaction to seeing those 4 games on primetime?
Well, I think my first reaction for the schedule was I thought, if you watched the show, I definitely thought that the NFL was going to destroy the Titans in some way. But subtly, I don't think that they did. They gave them the nice buffer at the beginning and end of the season. And that, you can start slow. It's hard to gain back that momentum. You also have to finish strong because of the AFC and how strong that is. Mm-hmm. This is what they did. They gave them an early bye, but that was before, as we say, the Green Mile at Kansas City, against Denver, at Green Bay, against the Bengals, and at Philadelphia. That, in my opinion, was murderer's row, but I think they benefited because who did they pin on each side of that? At Houston, bad football team. Home against Jacksonville, bad football team. You start with the New York Football Giants, who are not a very good football team, and you end with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are not a very good football team. So I actually liked the schedule. Looking at all of the opponents prior to the release, I was sitting there scratching my head and saying, how are they going to treat this small market franchise? They actually treated them pretty well. And then on top of that, as you mentioned, 4 primetime games. And these are really good matchups. And maybe it's obviously because of Derrick Henry. Don't get it twisted. But the Titans have performed pretty well in primetime games. And I think that went a long way. That Bills-Titans Monday nighter thriller down to the wire. It was 4th and inches, essentially, right? It was Josh Allen knee on the ground. And so they've done pretty well in that area. The 49ers Thursday night game, the 49ers, the comeback of the century with A.J. Brown, who won't be coming back for the Titans this next season. But fireworks, Jimmy Garoppolo and that thumb throwing picks and picks and picks in the second half. So I think a lot went into that. But I actually, Goodell, that was a nice little gesture for the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, and it is interesting. Rooney says it's really not 4 because 2 of these primetime games are on Amazon Prime Video. How do you feel about that aspect of the Thursday night games with Prime Video being the main broadcast spot for Thursday Night Football? Now, I will say this. Whenever like the Titans are playing on Thursday Night Football Prime, it will be picked up by a network locally. So people in the Titans market will be able to watch it on normal television, not on just Amazon Prime. But A to Z Sports is Amazon Prime member, so we're all good.
Well, look, if you're still a mouth breather reading the newspaper and drinking your coffee, sorry about you, pal. You're in the past. Evolve or die. And the NFL ain't gonna die. They're evolving. So you better jump on board. You better pay what you need to pay if you're a fan. That's just how it's going to be. This is a streaming service. 5 years ago, we didn't do traditional radio, right? We jumped on the streaming board. You guys are here, alive and well. So you guys are technologically savvy, whether you're 14 years old or 47 years old or 74 years old. It really doesn't make a difference. Evolve or die. Well, that's the premise. Sorry,
I'll say this, this is not an ad, but I feel like of all services that you have to buy and purchase to subscribe to, I think the Amazon Prime service is probably the most worthy subscription that I pay.
Right. I mean, and so I think the NFL doesn't really care that these are primetime games. They are. I mean, and they've moved a lot around. I mean, you look at the broadcasters of how much movement they've had because of this Amazon. Herb Street, we're going to get more Kirk Herbstreit, which I'm super excited about. We're not going to, no longer are we going to get Brian Greasy on Monday night. We're going to get, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, and which I enjoy. So a lot has gone into this move, but and look, this is not just a flip of the switch. They've slowly been kind of molding the fan into doing this.
Well,
I watch games on Yahoo on my app. I mean, I watch all the damn games. So like that, I think they've actually done a pretty good job of that.
Yeah, I will say this: Sin City Titan does have a point. How about restaurants and bars? They don't work like that. That will be an interesting shift that most restaurants and bars will have to do on Thursday Night Football if that's something they want to carry, and figuring out how to get the Amazon Prime up on all their TVs.
I'm sure the NFL has thought about a package.
But I'm sure because most restaurants and bars have direct TV, so they can have NFL Sunday Ticket. But anyway, we'll talk more about that as we get closer and closer to all these games. Okay, but Zach, what does it say about 4 primetime games for the Titans? What does it say about how the league views the Tennessee Titans overall? Because you found this graphic from NFL on Fox yesterday that shows the scope of the entire NFL and who has the most primetime games.
Yeah, well, I think you can look at the hierarchy. I mean, we know who the NFL lusts after: the Dallas Cowboys, Tom Brady, the Green Bay Packers, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this graphic confirms it. If you look at it, you got Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow right there on the left side, Justin Herbert and Los Angeles, Tom Brady. You've got the Philadelphia Eagles, which is a traditionally well-viewed TV market.
NFC East, right?
Plus they got A.J. Brown now. Aaron Rodgers, Dallas Cowboys, America's team, San Francisco, which is a massive market, New England, who's been the dynasty, and Bill Belichick for years, which is a big TV market. Even Pittsburgh, who doesn't really have a quarterback, brings massive ratings. Russell Wilson and the Broncos, and then the defending Super Bowl champions. But I really looked at this second tier because you have smaller markets in Arizona, Indianapolis, and Tennessee. And you have, I think, the new market of Las Vegas, in which the NFL has put a lot of resources into trying to make the Raiders from Oakland, which is a diehard fan base, just transition to their new city. But I looked at those 4 teams: Tennessee, Indy, Vegas, and Arizona. And I sat there and I was like, wow, those are kind of on the same scope of where their team is. They're not great, but they're pretty damn good. There's playoff teams in there. The Raiders, the Cardinals, and the Titans were all playoff teams last year. And you look at the Colts and what they're trying to do. Carson Wentz fell up short, but they replaced their quarterback, right?
It should have been.
Right. And so those are 4 teams that I think are on the same spectrum. And here's the last thing I'll say on this. Any 4 of those teams, I believe, can be disruptors for all of the top teams.
Well,
right?
just because the top teams up there have more primetime games doesn't mean they're top tier NFL teams this season, right? Like, odds are there will be a couple of those teams that are not very good in that top rung. Like the Steelers and the Eagles are probably those
are the 2 question marks.
But again,
right?
Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, like we know exactly what those television markets are and why they're up there, because they draw TV ratings. Last year, the Chicago Bears had 5 primetime games. Now they dropped down to 3 because they suck, but they still get 3.
And they're still going to be, the Bears are still going to be bad this year.
Right.
They had to reset with general manager and head coach.
Right. They still get 3 because of that. So let's talk about this. What does it mean about the Titans in the eyes of the league? And we'll compare the Titans football team to the other 3 teams that have 4 primetime games. So we'll ask you guys this question. How would you rank the Titans among those 4 teams? Titans, Colts, Raiders, Cardinals. Where do you rank the Titans among those 4 NFL teams? Titans, Colts, Raiders, Cardinals. But first, let me tell you guys about a sponsor of ours, that is TennesseeTickets.com, because what else came out yesterday is the preseason schedule. So the Titans will host the Bucs on August 20th and the Cardinals on August 27th, which also means Tom Brady is coming back to Nashville for some joint practices in the middle of August. So you might want to ask off work for a couple days if you want to come see the Great One practice against the Titans. But those preseason game tickets are available right now at TennesseeTickets.com. There's a bunch of reasons why you should use TennesseeTickets.com instead of the other national big brand ticket companies. Well, because Tennessee Tickets is locally owned and operated. They do take care of their people. They take care of their customers, and they treat you like you should be treated. They also have great customer service. So if you want to give them a call and find out the right ticket package for you, you can do that at their website where their phone number is listed at TennesseeTickets.com. They also have 0 hidden fees. So the number you see, the price you see at the beginning of the process is the same price you will see at checkout. You cannot say that about Ticketmaster, StubHub, and other places. So TennesseeTickets.com is where to go for all of your Titans tickets.
And I want to note, as we got a ton of comments rolling in, be more like Brent. Give us a reason why. Don't just say first or second. They may be on how we asked the question, but what we want is Titans, Raiders, Colts, Cardinals, if that's what you think. If you think the Cardinals are 1, give us your other 3 teams and where they rank 1 through 4. Also, you need to download the BetMGM app and need to win some money. Bad NBA playoff games, though, thus far in the conference finals. Last night, blowout city. Hopefully tonight will be a little bit better Friday action, and Luka can get a little bit hot from the outside against the Warriors, who absolutely trounced the Mavs a couple of days ago. But get in on the action. BetMGM. Use the promo code ATOZ Sports. Your risk-free bet up to $1,000 for new users. Download the app today.
All right, how do you rank these 4 teams that all have 4 primetime games? The teams we're focusing on right there in the middle part of this graphic from Fox NFL, the Titans, the Colts, the Raiders, and the Cardinals all have 4 primetime games. Titans, Raiders, and Cardinals were playoff teams a year ago. The Colts, as of right now on BetMGM, are the favorites to win the AFC South to be a playoff team this upcoming season. So how do you rank all 4 of these teams? Zach, I'll send you to the comment section to see what people are saying about this.
Yeah, this is, and I've been thinking about this a lot just as the comments have gone in of what I'm going to answer. Steven says second. Mr. Corey 488 says number 1, duh. First, easy, the best from Wayne. Mark says 1. Shannon says 1. Guy says 1. Easy E says 1. 2 to 3 from Corey Smith. Tighten Up says first. Second, the Raiders are going to be scaring out with Devontae Adams from our author, Stephen King. Mark says 1 among 32. So Mark, he's taking some crazy pills this morning. Danny says 1 first. Coming in from Ethan. Billy Jones says first. Cardinals 1, Titans 2 from Charles Reese. So there's a switch up on some things. Scott Weaver says first. Also had number 2, Colts, Raiders, Cards from Billy Jones. Damon says Colts, Raiders, Titans, then Cards. And then Tighten Up Ohio says Raiders, Titans, Colts, Cardinals. I think it's a good question. I mean, Kevin comes in there, Colts, Raiders, Titans, Cards. I think all 4 have a good case. I think they are close to each other. The Cardinals and the Titans, Raiders and the Colts, I think you could all make cases for all 4 teams.
I'll say this way. If these 4 teams were in a World Cup group play where they all had round robin, I think you would not see a bunch of separation. I think anybody can beat anybody in this group of 4 teams. I think I'll answer the first. I think the Raiders are the best team of the 4, but they also play in probably the hardest division this year in the NFL in the AFC West. So will the Raiders have a better record than the Titans or the Colts? Probably not, just because of the division. But I do think the Raiders head to head, I would pick them to beat the Titans and the Colts and the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are 4th in this because they have shown the inability to sustain consistent play. They might have sexy highlights and great games early in the season, but the Cliff Kingsbury wall or cliff happens every year late in the year, whether he's at Texas Tech or in Arizona, where they do fall off that cliff and lose out on a division title like what happened last year, or they missed the playoffs completely like they did a couple years ago as well. So, but I think the Raiders are the best team of this 4 I think the Titans are second, Colts third, and then I think the Cardinals is the easiest to say that they're fourth on this.
Wow. We are opposite.
Really?
We are, and this is the greatest part about the show. I don't know. I cannot remember who was claiming that we script everything like the Young and Restless before this show.
Oh, it's the guy Bizarro PK. He said that we
PK.
fabricate and make up arguments.
Yeah. Identity crisis, PK. I have the Cardinals first.
Really?
And my reason why, last year, if you remember, and this is easily forgotten, is the Cardinals have gotten better. I think they've also done what the Titans were unable to do, and they have lowered the temperature in the room of their star. Kyler Murray will get paid, and he will be fine, and he will continue to be an Arizona Cardinal. He flared up there for a little bit, right? He had a little flare up, as they say. Well, AJ had a flare up and then burned the damn house down, right? So I think Arizona is the best team. A lot of people forget I would say, best player outside of Kyler Murray was not there. Hopkins was not there.
And he would be there for the first month and a half.
Right, but he will come back. He will come back. This is also the only NFC team out of the four. That, I think, brings a lot of weight. NFC is a joke. Let's just be honest. They only have a few good teams. The 49ers, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not very good. The Seahawks blow now. Yes. They do, yes. Right? The Eagles and the Giants and the Commandos aren't very good. The Bears, Lions, not good. The Vikings and the Packers. So you got Vikings, Packers, Cowboys, Bucks, Rams. That's it. If you have the laundry list of the AFC, I believe that holds a ton of weight, in my opinion. And this is
okay. And again, the reason why I picked I did not base my rankings off of who I think will finish with the best record. Remember, I picked the Raiders first, head to head against the other three, but I think the Titans and Colts might both have better records than the Raiders.
But look, if you have them second and the Colts win the AFC South, the Titans ain't making the playoffs.
I don't disagree with that.
And that means their season is a failure, right? So they have a higher chance. And this is why it's a different philosophy. It's okay. But the Cardinals have a higher chance of a successful season than those other three teams.
That's not the question, though.
Yes, in my opinion, it is.
Okay.
How I rank them, because I'm going to rank them based on how successful their season is. And the Cardinals, I think, have a real opportunity, the best opportunity to make the playoffs. And with Kyler Murray, I think Kyler Murray is good. A lot of people doubt Kyler Murray. I mean, look, we all know Kyler Murray is better than Matt Ryan and Carson Wentz and those type guys. I think Kyler Murray's better than Derek Carr. I do. I think Kyler Murray's better than Ryan Tannehill. I do. He's sure as hell better than
Zach unplugged his mic or something happened. I don't know what happened to you there. Are you there? Did you just sabotage yourself?
I got so damn excited. I pulled my mic. I look at quarterback play out of these four teams, and I look there and I look at the conference. The Cardinals are the best team. Then I go Raiders because of Devontae Adams. Then I go Titans. Then at fourth, I go the Colts. I think the Colts, Matt Ryan is the washed up. I think Matt Ryan can be good. He can't be great, just like he is the reincarnation of where Phillip Rivers was at the end of his career. He will be good, but he will not be great. I think the Titans have too many question marks for me, and the Raiders have gotten better. The Raiders have just improved. But the Cardinals, I think they don't
have their best player for this first 6 weeks. Like,
they have the best quarterback
of the group.
Yes.
Yeah. And that guy was not very good towards the end of last year either.
He also started the season undefeated for the first several games.
Yeah. And what'd that do for him? The same thing as the Titans and the Raiders. They lost their
right?
first
Well,
playoff
they're all
game.
at the same place, Austin. They all ended up the same. They all ended up out of the tournament.
Yes, and the Colts never even made it because their quarterback that they moved on from was absolute garbage. And I preached Carson Wentz is garbage for like multiple years, and finally everybody realized how garbage he was last year. So again, the Cardinals struggle to finish. And they can't start as hot this year because their best player is on the shelf suspended for the first 6 weeks. So without that hot start, are they going to be able to finish strong? Because they haven't. When's the last time Cliff Kingsbury has finished strong in his career as a head coach? It hasn't happened. Like, you go look at his Texas Tech records.
Well, he's at Texas Tech.
Yeah, the Big 12 is a juggernaut, real deep conference.
Well, look at the players. It's hard to, and look, we know guys. It's hard to live in Lubbock. It's hard to live in Lubbock, there, pal. You know, be honest.
But Cliff Kingsbury, always.
I bet you, if I gave you the state of Texas, you couldn't even tell me where Lubbock is.
I know it's like northwestish. But again, what does that mean?
You got that. You got the Cardinals' directions correct.
There you go. How about that? So I got it right. You didn't think I could get it right. Well, look. Anyway, so the Raiders are the only team that I say has gotten substantially better this offseason because of what they added with Devontae Adams. The defense is legitimate, and the defense is going to be good. They got Chandler Jones. So you subtract from the Cardinals again and put him on the Raiders. That's a big deal. And the Titans play Chandler Jones again this year. I left Lawan's, hopefully it sleeps okay that night before. But you look at the overall aspect, I think the Raiders are the best team. The Titans are the second best. Then Colts, then
How
Cardinals.
are the Colts not last in this?
Because I think Matt Ryan is a significant upgrade over Carson Wentz. I think because he doesn't have as many just disaster, catastrophic mistakes.
He has some really bad picks. If you've ever watched,
Matt
Ryan more than you do because I watch the Bucs.
That's fine. Matt Ryan, Zach, I know Matt Ryan led the NFL in fourth quarter interceptions last year, but that's because the Falcons were god awful. He had some of the worst offensive line and defensive play around him. And his best receiver is now suspended for betting on the damn game and took time off mentally last week in Calvin Ridley. So last year in Calvin Ridley. So I think Matt Ryan stabilizes the Colts more than what Carson Wentz did for them, which puts them ahead of the Cardinals for me. I just don't trust the head coach in Arizona to finish the season. I don't.
It's fair. I trust the quarterback because he's on the field compared to the other three. And look, there's a different way of thinking. It's that I think this is why that we talked about it. We prefaced this conversation. They're all really close. I mean, the Cardinals and the Colts, the Raiders and the Titans, they're not far. They're and on any given Sunday, any team could win, right? I mean, you tell me that the Titans beat the Cardinals or the Titans beat the Raiders, I'm not that surprised. Derrick Henry had a really good game. Ryan Tannehill didn't throw picks. Like I know how you win, but I look at the other outliers, quarterback and conference. And Cardinals have the best quarterback and they have the easiest conference.
Now, Josh brings this up. He says, none of y'all are talking about who has the best defense out of these four teams. It's the Tennessee Titans. How do you feel about Josh's comment?
You know what, Josh? That's a good comment.
I agree.
It's a great comment. I'll upgrade it from good to great. Their front four is ferocious. I really got to see the cornerback play, right? Because I do think there's question marks on the corners. I think the ceiling of the Titans corners is extremely high. I think if you told me that Christian Fulton continues to progress and play really, really well, Roger McCreary comes in here and is that tenacious type player, and Caleb Farley gets healthy off that ACL and is the first round pick that he was picked to be. Kevin Byard has righted his ways from a couple years ago when he had his down year. He's the leader of the defense, and the upgrade at middle linebacker from Zach Cunningham and David Long Jr. I take it. The
Titans returned 10 starters from a really, really, really damn good defense last year. The only starter that lose is Jackrabbit, who played good football towards the end. And Jackrabbit was a big reason why they were able to beat the Niners on Thursday night, because without that pick in the end zone, maybe the Niners go up 3 scores real quick. and that game changes drastically. But yeah, I think what they have at corner has a lot of potential, right? But potential is not what you got right now. It's what you can become. And so that's what they have to have a good summer.
The Titans are third on my list because they have the third most question marks. The Colts have the most questions because of Matt Ryan and their whole setup. I think the Titans, I don't know what Treylon Burks is going to be. If he's a stud, I think a lot differently of the Tennessee Titans. I think, and if Robert Woods comes in there and plays and is the number 2 wide receiver that Julio Jones could never be last year, then Derrick Henry's back. They have an upgraded tight end. Now my questions are answered. And the Titans, I think, can easily vault up to the best team on this list. They can be number 1. I just don't know enough about this new look offense. Like last year, they just added Julio Jones, and we were all like, wow, if the tight ends are worth a damn, they're going to the AFC Championship game. But injuries and all the other things happened, and it didn't work out.
Yeah. And, Derek Carr also threw a game-ending interception against the Bengals in that playoff game, just like Ryan Tannehill did to the same defense the next week. So there are quarterback questions on all 4 teams. There are offensive questions about all 4 teams, but I find it interesting that they all 4 have 4 primetime games coming up this season. So, Zach, you said you have a wrinkle on this topic. I'm curious to see where you take it next, but first tell us all about Farm Bureau health plans.
I got the love of the show because I think offensively, I don't think that this is the case, but I like this saying. Scary Harry Flanagan says the Titans are piss on paper. Well, the good thing is it's not about paper. It's about play. And so the Titans notoriously go in there, and when they play really well. They overexert and exceed expectations of if you're piss on paper, they usually don't end up being that way. They perform with their play. So I like the comment because I think it's funny, but I think Titans fans know that. That's the identity of this football team. But Austin, as you said, I have a wrinkle that it's subtle and I think does throw a little curveball into this conversation. I am going to tell you that, but I'm also going to tell you about no curveball, fastball right down the pipe, straight, easy, better coverage, better rates, better service. It's Farm Bureau health plans. 200 plus locations across the state of Tennessee. You talk about say what you mean and mean what you say. That's what Farm Bureau health plans do because you take a 30 to 35-minute health assessment, you get a quote, you make a decision. I mean, that's my life. That's a match made in heaven. That's how I like to do things. Set them up, knock them down. Tell me what I need to do, coach, and I'll do it. That's what Farm Bureau Health Plan does with your health plan. I upgraded my health plan. I saved 20% money back into my wallet, and it was super easy. It can be super easy for you to go to fbhp.com/A to Z, talk to a representative today, get a quote, and it will change your mind.
Don't forget, download the BetMGM app. Use our code ATOZ Sports. You get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 when you sign up. A risk-free bet up to $1,000 when you sign up after your first deposit. Zach, I just got an email from BetMGM tonight. Golden State -6.5 against Dallas. How about this? 60% of the bets on Golden State -6.5, but 70% of the money on Golden State -6.5. I think I need to jump on Golden State -6.5 because with being in Alabama at the beach on an island for a few days, I got to get back into the BetMGM train and get back to winning. Get a risk-free bet up to $1,000 with your first bet after your first deposit. That's with code ATOZ Sports. So Zach, what is this wrinkle you have when discussing the Titans primetime matchups?
All right. Titans, Colts, Raiders, Cardinals. We talked about them. My wrinkle is that purple team at the bottom.
Okay.
Where do the Ravens rank? Let's move the Ravens up a notch. They only have 3 primetime games. Where do the Ravens rank out of the 5: Baltimore, Tennessee, Indy, Las Vegas, and Arizona? Because I think that the Saints and the Bears, they have their questions at quarterback. But the Ravens, they were a really good football team last year, and the injury bug got them. They got
The
them
injury
from the
bug hit
start,
them
from J.K. Dobbins. I mean, right? I mean, from
Yep.
the get. And
Mhm.
then Lamar gets hurt. But we've seen Lamar Jackson perform well. I mean, they beat the Titans a couple of years ago in Nashville. He is a cerebral player. Where do you put the Ravens if I moved them up into this conversation?
Yeah, that's tough because I don't know what to expect from all these guys coming back from injuries. I feel like they would be ahead of the Colts and the Cardinals for me. I'm going to put them third. So I'm going to stick with Raiders first, Titans second, and Ravens third on this list.
So the reason why I did this is I have the Ravens ahead of all of them.
Oh.
I've said what I've said about the conference, but I think last year was not indicative of what the Ravens can be. Ravens consistently win healthy, and that's a huge if. Ifs and buts, beers and nuts.
The
I know
Titans
it.
were able to win when unhealthy. The Raiders were not.
But the quarterback, right?
Yep.
If Tannehill goes down, the Tennessee's ass is grass.
Yep.
I think Baltimore, good quality head coach, quarterback that I think has learned a lot in this league and has been able to kind of withstand a little bit of the question marks. Now, last year, you question his injury ability because of the way he played. He turned his ankle. I mean, he got tackled, right? But he put him in the line of fire. I think that the Ravens, if I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet that the Ravens to make the playoffs is a good bet.
I don't disagree. I have one of my free bets at BetMGM was Ravens to win the Super Bowl, because it's got long odds, and I think there's a bounce back type option for this team. And Derek says that's not exactly a hot take. They play a third place schedule. I mean, I don't think anybody's out here trying to have hot takes. I think we're trying to have logical takes. But they play a third place schedule, which is to their benefit. Another comment I saw earlier saying that the Bengals were able to take advantage of a down division after the Ravens that got off to an 8-3 start tumbled and crumbled because of injuries. The Bengals were able to rise and take advantage of that. Now they won playoff games against some big teams, right? So you can't really take too much away from the Bengals in what they were able to do. But the Browns are a complete wild card because you don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield. The Steelers are somebody you expect to take a step back. And then you've got the Bengals and Ravens, I think, battling out for the AFC North crown. So I think the Ravens have a good shot. Just like I said, the Raiders might have a worse record than the Titans or Colts, but still be a better team. I think the Ravens are the opposite. They have a more doable conference or division right now and a more doable schedule than what the Raiders are facing. So they might even have a better record than the Raiders. I just like what the Raiders are doing.
Yeah, no, and that's fair. I think that Derek Carr, are you going to get we've seen good Derek Carr. I mean, we have.
It's
and now
really good. Yes.
And now he's got and last year with all the turmoil with the Gruden stuff, right? They got through that. I think that needs to be recognized. You mentioned the Browns. I did think it was funny because I did notice this when I looked at the primetime games. Browns only have 2 primetime games. The NFL wants so far from the spotlight to be on Deshaun Watson at any point in time. They only gave the Browns, because the Browns notoriously are good TV pulls. They got a really strong fan base.
Yeah, because they're also a soap opera. Something always crazy is happening with them, right?
But they don't want the spotlight to be on Deshaun Watson singularly any more than they have to.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh is also right. Josh McDaniels, an unknown with the Raiders as a head coach. Josh McDaniels didn't flat out suck as the Broncos head coach. There was a lot of immaturities with him being a first-time head coach. And thoughts are, you would think going back to Uncle Bill for several years in New England, he had kind of worked through some of those things that made him out at Denver early on.
He went to college and then had to move back home, and then now they kicked him out of the house again, and he's going to get into the real world. How are you going to do?
He's back home for a long time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's living in his parents' basement
for a long time.
But he was making a lot of money on YouTube in that basement.
Yeah, no doubt. But he is a wild card because you don't know exactly how he's going to handle that second chance. So, yeah, and they drafted Tebow. Was Josh McDaniels a head coach when John Elway drafted Tim Tebow?
I believe
that
so.
was John Elway made some really bad quarterback decisions before and after Peyton Manning.
Yeah, I mean, the worst one was Brock Osweiler. The money that they paid that man is like the money they paid Matt Flynn. You remember back in the day?
There's Brock Osweiler. Tim Tebow as a first-round pick was egregious. Also, Paxton Lynch as a first-round pick was more egregious.
Was he a first-rounder?
Yes. And then on Easter Sunday, I was at my grandmother's house watching Paxton Lynch come off the bench for the Michigan, whatever the hell they are, under Jeff Fisher in the USFL. Panthers, the Michigan Panthers. Paxton Lynch, current Michigan Panther backup quarterback to Shea Patterson.
If I was at your grandmother's house, I'd say, "Can we change the channel?"
Oh, and we all fell asleep. And it was post Easter lunch, time for a nap. USFL, perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what that was.
I'd rather watch old NBA playoff games I've already watched.
Well, yeah, because the nostalgia is fantastic with all that.
No, I'm talking about the ones I just watched last week.
Oh, okay.
The replay. I'm not talking about Jordan dropping 63 in the Garden. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm talking about the game I watched 2 days ago.
Fair.
Getting film in.
There you go. All right, A to Z Sports here live on this Friday. So let's get to this next conversation, Zach. The dream primetime matchup for the NFL, because we've talked about there are 13 teams, which is crazy. 13 teams have 5 primetime games this year. If the NFL had the biggest stage that they could schedule, not the Super Bowl, obviously, that they could schedule ahead of time, what 2 teams would they want to be their dream primetime game matchup?
I can't wait for this because I'm very curious to see what the chat. This is a chat question.
Yes.
The chat, because this is all opinion based, and I think we're going to get a wide variety. What or who is the NFL's dream primetime game? I mean, I got to know. This is a kind of a pan-personal question just to judge the chat.
There you go. But first, tell us all about Wilson County Hyundai.
Yeah, Wilson County Hyundai is where you need to go to get your next ride. It is quick, it is easy, and it is efficient. Quick trip down I-40 exit 236. WilsonCountyHyundai.com has your perfect make and model, whether it's the Palisade, which is the full-size SUV, third-row seating, all the bells and whistles. Pop that puppy into sport mode, and let's ride. That's how you can be. And trade in that old minivan, right? It's a family upgrade. Fuel efficient too, right? And fuel efficiency is very, very important nowadays as the gas prices are through the roof. The Sonata, that's fuel efficient as well. I own one myself. I love my Sonata. 4-door sedan, sleek, dominates the streets. You got the Elantra, the Tucson, even the Ioniq, which is battery powered. That combats the gas prices because it don't need no gas, as they say. So they've got your perfect make and model. You just got to find it, WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Don't forget, download the BetMGM app. And if you're a new user, use our code ATOZ Sports. That's ATOZ Sports when you download and sign up for BetMGM. That gives you a risk-free bet up to $1,000 with your first bet after your first deposit. It's a great way to jumpstart your playing with the BetMGM app. It's so much fun. Zach and I use this a lot. We love it. And also later on today, A to Z Sports Picks at 2 p.m. Central Time today on these same channels with Alan Bell and Brian Edwards to get you guys set for the NBA playoffs tonight and over the weekend. I think I'm going to do it. Golden State -6.5 after the show today. Also, BetMGM consistently gives you great boosts and promos even when you're a current user as well. That's code ATOZ Sports for new users for risk-free bet up to $1,000 with your first bet after your first deposit. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or site credit. Free bets expire in 7 days. For problem game support, call Tennessee Redline 800-889-9789. Zach, are the people pleasing you with their answers yet?
They are, because they're different.
Ah.
I love the variety. So let's start the old engine up, the chat engine. Nick goes Packers Bucks. Jimbo goes Bills Rams. Charles goes Rams Bucks. Fangalik, which is a unique name there on YouTube, goes KC Buffalo. Cowboys Steelers from Mikey Fleck. Bucks Chiefs. We've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different answers, even starting. So now getting some repeats. Yinzi says Cowboys Steelers, KC Buffalo from John, Bengals Bucks from Jeff Rubel, Big Ten Jeff. Steven says Buffalo KC. Jeff says Bills Rams, Chiefs Buccaneers, Brady versus Mahomes from Derek. Chiefs Bucks QB's rule from Stephen King, our Arthur. Cowboys Squealers, which is pretty funny for the guy. Scary Harry Flanagan coming in with a scary, that's a scary avatar. Buffalo versus Chiefs, a little rendition of that playoff divisional matchup that was lights out of the playoffs.
So good.
Green Bay, the Battle of the Bays, the throwback of Favre versus the Bucks. Those are some. Man, one of my favorite matchups is a late afternoon game in Tampa, Packers against the Bucks. Nostalgia right there.
All right,
Packers,
so I'm curious. I think you've gone through several options, and I don't think there's been really a wrong answer. I think there's a lot of really, really good options. What's yours?
So I think for
the NFL's dream matchup, right? It's like what two teams playing together will get the most eyeballs out of anybody else, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Most eyeballs out of anybody else. And I don't think I've read my matchup.
Oh.
Most eyeballs, this is dream. This is moneymaker, right?
Right.
I go Cowboys, Chiefs. I think that is the dream scenario because you're going to get the eyeballs and you have the best quarterback in the league. He is a known commodity. The Chiefs are exciting. The Cowboys have offense. Like, you could get into a shootout in that game, and that game could be fireworks. The ratings are going to be there. I think that is the dream scenario. Cowboys against the Chiefs. I was going to do Tampa, but Floridians. I just don't trust Floridians. I trust Tom Brady with my life. I just don't trust Floridians. But you get the Midwest and you get some dominant, that is the heart of football country. Those people grow up watching football, and then you get each East and West coach are going to watch anyway.
So you think Cowboys, Chiefs.
And the Cowboys wearing their throwback uniforms.
Where's the game? In Dallas or in Kansas City?
I think for the ratings, it has to be in Dallas.
Yeah. My thought, pretty similar. It has to involve the Cowboys. It absolutely has to, especially because the Cowboys are good. Like, you can say, they pooped away their chance in the playoffs and all that kind of stuff.
This ain't Quincy Carter's Cowboys anymore.
No, yeah. Oh, good Lord. No more Henson coming through at quarterback. But I think I'm going to go Cowboys-Packers. I just think the Packers are bigger than the Chiefs across them. Like, because we're talking about eyeballs, which means beyond the diehard NFL fans, which means beyond what we want to see. Because I don't doubt that Chiefs-Cowboys might be a better game than Packers-Cowboys, but that doesn't matter when it comes to drawing eyeballs. I think Packers bring more of that than the Chiefs do.
I usually argue. I'm not going to argue with you because I think both are like very quality. And I think you make a strong case. Where is that game?
And if it's any month besides December or January in Dallas, but what do we know about snow games? People really watch snow games. Like snow game TV ratings are so high. So Cowboys at Packers Sunday Night Football in the snow would be the dream matchup.
And
because
Jeff says,
we
because
can't
you're all Dallas market.
No.
This has nothing to do with that.
The Cowboys are why we have a Dallas market. Like it's not chicken or the egg. It's pretty clear one because of the other.
We've tested. I know more about NFL fan bases than everybody. I'll just say that because of what we do. I know their tendencies. I know what gets them going. It's just, I diagnose it every day. We have a team that diagnoses NFL fan bases, and the Dallas Cowboys are the biggest and the best, whatever you want to say best is. I'm not saying
because we're talking about biggest. This conversation is about the biggest, the most, and that's the Cowboys.
Yeah. The Packers is a good argument. And you could say that people are tired of but here's the thing. The Packers don't have that second superstar, and the Chiefs do. Now they don't have Tyreek Hill anymore, but Travis Kelce is that guy. He's so likable. He dances.
The green and yellow G carries more than the Chiefs logo. I just think it does nationally.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers.
Who's Aaron? I mean, I don't know what the Packers are going to be.
It doesn't matter. For this conversation, it doesn't matter. Like, Aaron Rodgers has been doing it longer than Mahomes.
And Honky Tonk is right. The Steelers and the Cowboys should be the correct answer. But the Steelers have Kenny Pickett paws. You know, and if Double Gloves Pickett can come in there and win and be the next Ben Roethlisberger, then I think that's going to be the answer. That vaults to the top.
If Kenny Pickett is he doesn't have to be the next big Ben Roethlisberger because he's arguably a Hall of Famer. But if he is at least very good, then the Steelers will be back playing. Well, they're already playing 5 primetime games. They'll be consistently playing that many throughout the end of time.
But that is a matchup, the Packers Cowboys in Green Bay late in December, that gets the hairs start to stand.
Yes, because everybody's grandfather is like, heck yeah. Like, that's exactly what they want to see. So you get all generations.
Yeah, and I don't know, you probably haven't looked at the Cowboys schedule, but Cowboys have an easy schedule. Like, they have a very formidable schedule. And they don't do that on purpose, I don't think. But the way the placement of their games, very favorable in my opinion.
Right. A to Z Sports here live on this Friday. Every Friday we end the show with Ain't That Good News. So I know Big Ten Jeff was promoting his good news earlier in the show. So bring on the good news. Let's have a good end of the week. But let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, know where to turn, know where to fall back on. Everybody needs help once they get hurt, and the Bone and Joint Institute knows how to help you get back on the road to recovery, whether it's their 12-plus physicians who specialize in any type of joint injury you could think of, the state-of-the-art rehab facility that Dave runs, which is phenomenal there in Franklin, and they also have satellite campuses in Brentwood, Nolensville, and in Thompson Station. Again, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. That includes you in Southern Kentucky and you guys in Northern Alabama. boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports. I'm turning to BetMGM to bet tonight in the NBA. Risk-free bet up to $1,000 with the promo code ATOZSPORTS. That's A to Z Sports, all one word. That's your promo code. That's what you need. First bet, risk-free, up to $1K for new users. You can download the app today. Got to use that promo code. But, man, we got NBA action all weekend. The NHL is heating up, even though, unfortunately, the Preds are out of it. Still have opportunity to make some money there at BetMGM. You got an opportunity for some good news right about now.
All right, ain't that good news too? Head to the weekend. Drew says, hey, just woke up. Wait, sorry. Well, Drew made it in time for good news. What's going on, Drew? All right, Nick says his son is turns 10 and he's taking him to a Blues playoff game tomorrow. Growing up way too fast. Playoff hockey is some of the best live sporting event to go to, I think. Rooney says good news. Grandson's graduation party is on Saturday. Congrats to Rooney's grandson. Jeff says good news. The Ohio State Notre Dame game is a night game. I'll be going to his first night game at the Shoe and taking his parents who have been divorced for 10 years. So that's pretty cool. Bringing the whole family back together. Yeah.
Very cool.
More good news. Sean says shade to good news. Wednesday, my dad went to the hospital with heart problems. Today, he is coming home post-surgery and expected to be just fine. Perfect. That's awesome, Sean. Really glad to hear that news. More good news. Zach, what do you think?
So my good news has to do with a nice day. And actually, I need to check the weather. Have you checked the weather?
Hot.
I like hot.
Today and tomorrow. 90s. Hot.
Ooh, that makes my good news even better.
Sunday, rain.
Right?
But today and Saturday, hot.
So my good news is tomorrow I'm in town this weekend, which is always good news because that happens few and far between, I feel like. But one of my girlfriend's friends, 30-year-old birthday party going out to Arrington Vineyard and taking a bus out there, right? Responsible.
Yeah.
Taking a bus out there, enjoying the hot summer day or spring summer day, and enjoying the Saturday. I've looked. It's been a long week. I'm looking forward to letting my hair down, as they say, let my mustache fly, and Saturday's going to be a great day. That's my good news.
There you go. Last month I was actually at a 30th birthday party at Arrington Vineyard too.
It must be a thing.
Yeah, I mean that's a great place. I do say red wine plus 90-degree weather, tough.
But you can bring beer, right?
No.
I didn't know that.
Bring other alcohol into a vineyard.
I thought it was a NASCAR race. Hey, we go racing, pal.
No, I mean,
I want to bring
Zach,
my grocery bag.
You're not supposed to bring beer. Wink.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be on party bus. So the party bus is probably going to have, it's definitely going to have beer.
But again, like I'm not a white wine person, but they do have like frozen drinks.
Oh, okay.
So that'll help you. That'll help you deal with the heat. All right. So your good news, that's awesome. That's always a fun time. My good news is I just had a great vacation, went on the first beach trip where we've brought our dogs with us. So we've got 2 dogs, my wife and I. My wife adopted and rescued them before I came along. And so Sophie had been to the beach a couple times earlier in her life before Bella. And this was Bella's first time to the beach and my first time at the beach with our dogs. My mother-in-law came along with too. It was a great few days down in Dauphin Island, which is literally in the middle of, like, if you go middle of nowhere, Alabama, like go through Mobile, then there's the bayou, literally the bayou. Then you go over a bridge that's like 7 miles to an island where there's nothing there but beach houses and beach. And it was awesome. We had a 360 view of the beach because we had the Gulf on one side and what they call the Mississippi Sound in the backyard. And so it was great. Just relaxation and, not too many shenanigans, but a great 3 days of nothing, which is exactly what it's intended to be. And Sophie and Bella love the beach and they're still exhausted.
Right. So that's awesome.
Still wiped out.
You always love dogs on the beach because you just feel like they're living their best life at that moment,
Yes, just digging as many holes as they can, stuffing their face.
And you can do it. Who cares?
And then sand.
You're not going to get to the bottom.
No, but they keep on going. See what you got. What do you smell? I'm sure you smell something fishy. So it was a lot of fun.
Excellent. Well, a couple of good news before we go that I saw. Mark Jones says, my brother's birthday is today. He passed away 8 years ago, but we'll send up some balloons to him in memory. Casey Shane Jones, rest in peace, Mark. We second that emotion. So in honor of your brother. Apollo 23 says, good news, went to Texas last weekend. Speaking of the Cowboys, for a tournament in Cowboys Stadium, went undefeated in 2 divisions.
What sport? I want to know what tournament Apollo's playing in.
Yeah, I do too.
What do you think it is? What tournament do you think it is? Flag football?
You'd think it would be flag football. So, Apollo, if you're still with us, we'd love to know. Let's see here. Good
flag
news.
Football. I was right.
It was. Jabu says good news last week of school. So it was flag football.
Yeah.
Well, that's excellent. And then Ron says good news, just sitting around the house, doing nothing, watching all good sports this weekend. That ain't a bad weekend there, Ron.
Have you ever seen like high level adult flag football? It's bizarre. It's crazy. Like it's its own sport.
Being like
what Apollo's talking about, like grown, like not college stuff, but like grown men out of college who are playing in competitive flag football leagues.
I know.
It's literally, oh my God, it's its own sport. It does not resemble football because a lot like there's this thing in flag football called the 3 quarterback system, where you have your typical quarterback, but a lot of times you cannot run with your quarterback. So they have 2 their wide receivers line up behind the quarterback. So you can take the snap, throw to one of them, and then now it's a lateral. They can play quarterback and run, and everybody else. It's absolutely nuts.
That's a whole new take.
And ridiculous athletes.
That needs to be on the Ocho.
Yeah, I would watch it. That would be way better than the USFL. Is that high level flag football?
Well, and David brings up good news: 8 inches of snow tonight. If you're in Colorado, it's 90 degrees, and then it's supposed to snow in 8 inches. Talk about Lord. Something's going on.
Oof. All right, guys. Well, have a great weekend. Buck will be live Sunday night for A to Z Sports Primetime. We'll be live Monday morning. Again, have a great weekend. Have a safe weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Appreciate it.